Hi boys and girls, for this week's reading lessons, we're going to be talking about character traits. So we're going to be reading a couple of different stories and looking for character traits of one of the characters from the story. I printed off this picture here to represent a character from any story that you read. Now, the reason I chose this one is because I want us to watch for inside character traits and outside character traits. So the reason I picked this is that we can write inside and outside. The inside character traits that we're going to look for are personality traits. So things that the character says or does, thoughts that they have, feelings that they have, or actions that they do. So all the things that would happen on the inside. The other type of character trait that we're going to look for are physical character traits or outside character traits. Something that I can tell about the character by the way that they look or just by looking at a picture of them. So what we see on the outside. When we fill in our chart, there are a couple of different charts that we can use, but for our first story, we're going to use this one. Now, our very first story together will be Franklin Rides a Bike. So hopefully you've heard this story or know Franklin from other stories or the show. But this is written by Paulette Bourgeau and Brenda Clark. Franklin Rides a Bike. So I did choose Franklin as our character that we're going to be watching for, both inside and outside character traits. So I will stop as we go through the story to fill in our organizer. So this is another type of a graphic organizer, just like we would organize before we write something. Franklin rides a bike. Franklin could swim underwater and hit a home run. He knew how to climb the monkey bars and pump himself high on the swings. But Franklin had a problem. He couldn't ride his bicycle without training wheels. So this is the perfect spot to stop because I've noticed both inside character traits and outside character traits that I want to add to our chart. So the first thing I want to add are some physical character traits. So hopefully you're thinking of this at home also. But some things I want to add to the outside, because those are physical traits that I can see, would be that he is the color green. So I'm just going to write that on the outside of my character. He is also a turtle. And that will be important later when we find other characters in the story. Okay, we could add that he has a shell, which goes with him being a turtle, and he's green. I could go into more detail. He does have brown eyes and red type of fingernails, but I'll leave that off for right now. Now, the inside character traits that I have noticed on here would be things, his actions, okay? So he knows how to hit a home run, he knows how to climb the monkey bars, and he knows how to swing on the swings. Okay, so I'm going to write on here, pump and swing. He knows how to hit a bat and a ball. And he can swim underwater. Okay, inside traits. So let me review one more time before we keep going. Things we're looking for. Inside traits would be his personality, things he says, does, thinks, feels, his actions. And then the outside traits are things that we can see by looking. What does he look like? So far we have he's green, he's a turtle, he has a shell. And then on the inside, his action so far is that he can swing on a swing, hit a ball, and swim underwater. All right, so let's keep going. In the spring, all of Franklin's friends had training wheels on their bikes. Beaver was the brave one. She took her extra wheels off first. She practiced and practiced. Then she went to the park to show off. "Look at me," she shouted. "I can ride my bike all by myself." Franklin watched Beaver ride around in circles. Okay, so remember we're watching for Franklin. It wasn't long before Beaver could signal with one paw and hold on to the handlebar with the other. Soon, everyone but Franklin could ride without training wheels. "We're going on a picnic," said Bear. "Come on." Franklin was worried that his friends would make fun of his training wheels. "I'm not hungry," Franklin fibbed. He went home to eat lunch alone. So I'm going to stop here. I hope you noticed one of our new character traits on the inside. Something that they described about Franklin is that he was worried. He was worried what his friends would think if they saw his training wheels. So I'm going to add that to the inside of my character, that Franklin is worried. Okay, and it can be anywhere inside. Afterwards, Franklin asked his mother to help take the training wheels off his bike. He wanted to ride all by himself. He sat on his bike and his mother gave him a push. Franklin wibbled and wobbled and teetered and tottered when he fell into the flower bed. "I can't do it," he said. "I'm never riding this bike again." So I could stop here because I also want to show you the look on his face, how he has changed to a more worried look. And then this last sentence that I read, "I'm never riding this bike again." Feels very defeated. Okay, and I'll add that to our chart. He feels like he can never do it, even if he tries. He'll never be able to do it. So he's giving up. I'll write that. He's giving up, or he feels defeated. So we're looking for different ways that he feels too. For the rest of the week, Franklin felt left out. He watched as his friends rode off without him. They were becoming great explorers on their bike. So each time, especially here before they go on their bike ride, he feels alone. Okay, he watched as they rode off on these adventures. So I can add that to the inside. One way that he might feel is alone. On Saturday, Franklin's friends zoomed by the house. "That looks like fun," said Franklin's mother. "I can't ride without my training wheels," groaned Franklin. "Did you give it your best effort?" asked his mother. "Well," said Franklin, "maybe I could try one more time." So I hope you're thinking of a word now that Franklin is willing to try one more time. I would call him determined. He is willing to give it a try. Franklin sat on his bike. "It's Tippy," he cried. His mother held onto the seat. "Try it. I won't let you go until you tell me to." Franklin pedaled while his mother guided the bicycle from behind. He felt unsteady and very unsure. "I'm going to fall," he said, and he stopped pedaling. So it even told us in our story here, he felt. So he felt unsteady and unsure. Two great words to add. Unsteady and unsure about his bicycle. So it's a great way to keep notes as we go on an organizer. "Riding a bicycle is difficult," said his mother, "but you can't give up just because it's frustrating." "It's too hard for me," said Franklin. "It was easy for my friends." "Do you think everything comes easily for them?" she asked. Franklin had to think about that. So one thing I noticed on the outside this time is that he is wearing a bike helmet. So that is something I can add to the outside of my character trait. It's not something that's mentioned in the story, but it is something that I can see. So it is a physical character trait. Franklin went to the park. He saw Beaver struggling to swing on the monkey bars. Each time she got to the third rung, she fell into the sand below. "No, Beaver," said Bear. "Do it like this. It's easy." "Easy for you," said Beaver. She tried one more time and fell again. "Maybe tomorrow," Beaver grumbled. Franklin remembered when Badger learned to swim. She was afraid to put her head under water. "It's easy," said Franklin. "Just do it." Badger had spluttered and cried. It took her a long time to feel good in the water. Now she could swim from one end of the pond to the other. Franklin thought about the first time Fox played baseball. He couldn't hit the ball at all, but he tried and tried again. One day, Fox got a home run. Just then, Porcupine came by. She moved very slowly. She pointed to the pads on her knees, wrists, and elbows. "They make me feel funny," she said, "but they keep me safe." "That's it!" cried Franklin. He hurried home. Franklin put on padding. He lined the walk with old pillows. "I'm ready to try again," Franklin told his mother. "Now I won't worry if I fall." Franklin sat on his bike and his mother held on to the seat. Franklin wibbled and wobbled and teetered and tottered. He fell many times, but he never gave up. Okay, so I have a couple things I'm going to write now. First one, I'm going to say that he's not worried anymore. He's not worried he's going to fall because he put padding on. So he's not worried about falling with the pads. Okay, and another thing I want to add is that he never gave up. Then it happened. Franklin told his mother to let go. He didn't veer into the bushes and he didn't crash. "Way to go!" cheered his mother. Franklin was thrilled. Finally, he was riding his bike all by himself. "I can do it!" he shouted. Franklin rode to the park to show his friends. Okay, now, one word I want to talk about how you think Franklin feels. I'm thinking of one word. It starts with a C. It means that you're really proud of yourself and you know you can do it. And that word is confident. He told his mom to let him go, and now he's ready to ride to the park on his bike to see his friends. Something he shouted, so something he said was, "I can do it." So I'm going to add that. And if you remember some of our words from in the beginning of the book, he was doubting himself. He was worried. He was alone, but he was still determined. And now he's changed to he never wants to give up. He's confident, and he's riding with the pads on, so he's not as worried anymore. So even just in one story, character traits can change. "Look at me," he called. Franklin tried to signal with one hand like Beaver, but he toppled over. "I think I'll work on that," he laughed. "Not everything is as easy as it looks." So, a great story to talk about character traits. I just want to show you our chart one more time. These character traits, remember, are inside and outside character traits. Our outside character traits are things that we can see. So, for example, the way that Franklin looked. Okay, he is green, a turtle, he has a shell, he has a bike helmet. And now I'll go back some of the things that I noticed from even just the front cover. I can show you this up here. He has brown eyes and red fingernails, so I'm going to add those over here. And then to jump to the inside of our character, those are going to be the things that a character says, like, I never want to give up, or I feel so alone. Something that he says right from the story. Something that he does, something that he thinks, something that he feels. But all of these traits, when we put them all together, those are all character traits for Franklin. So at the bottom of my paper, I'm going to write his name. Okay, because all of these traits describe one character. And like I said a little bit earlier, even though the character traits change, so in the beginning of the story, he was giving up, he wasn't very determined to ride a bike, he felt like, I'll never be able to do it. But as the story progressed and kept going, we learned that he did become confident. He wanted to be like his friends. He wanted to learn what he was going to be able to ride a bike, and he wanted to do it correctly with his friends without the training wheels. It also changed. He's not so alone. He got to the park. He went to the park with his friends. So all different character traits. And your job is going to be to use, and you can either draw it or you can use the one that I sent, is to use a blank character trait form. I'm going to show you a new website that we can use to get books, or you can choose to do this character trait on a book that you have at home. Like I just happen to have Franklin at home, so I used it for my character trait story. When you fill out your character trait graphic organizer, you can either pick a story that you have at your house, or I'm going to show you a website in the next video on how to get a story that you can use right on your computer. Okay, so I'll see you for the next video where we're going to continue talking about character traits.